Todd Monken is keeping this train moving along. He has his eyes peeled, ears to the streets, and he is checking in on a couple big-name receivers as the Cleveland Browns are looking to make additions to that wide receiver room for Shedeur Sanders. We got some big names that they are looking at that could be some great additions. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. Let's get right into it. So, right here on the sports news, here it says, Browns trade rumors targeting Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, now I have seen this on multiple sites. I've seen this on multiple sites where they have been linked. They were linked to Marvin Harrison Jr. last offseason. They were looking into that. So Marvin Harrison is somebody who's been on Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam's radar, and it appears he's still on the radar with Todd Monken and also Chris Olave. What's funny, both guys from Ohio State, okay? Both guys from Ohio State, so I'm sure Andrew Berry did a ton of work on these guys when they were coming out. Here it says the 2026 NFL Combine is buzzing with rumors, and the Cleveland Browns are standing right at the center of the storm, according to whispers in Indianapolis, amplified by SB Nation managing editor Jared Mueller. GM Andrew Berry is actively exploring a blockbuster trade to land a premier wide receiver. The two biggest names reportedly on the radar, Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. Andrew Berry's trying to make it happen. Andrew Berry's trying to get, he knows Jerry Jeudy is not a number one receiver, and he cannot roll with him being the number one this upcoming season, so he's looking to make a move. While the idea of bringing former Buckeye superstars back to Ohio was a dream scenario for the Dog Pound, pulling off this magnitude of a trade comes down to cold, hard math, okay? So, Marvin Harrison, these guys are going to cost. These guys were high draft picks. But hey, man, the Cleveland Browns got draft capital to go and get somebody. Here it says Berry has never been afraid to make a splash, especially in dealing for pass receivers like Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy. Cleveland is also in a position to draft their own potential wide receiver one on a cheap rookie contract in April, with the likes of Carnell Tate, Denzel Boston, and Mekhi Lemon looking like viable first-round studs. The fact they put Denzel Boston before Jordan Tyson, mind-boggling. Okay. Here it says balancing draft costs against salary cap reality will be one of Berry's ultimate offseason tests. So Andrew Berry is looking to make a move for a big name wide receiver, and I think he's not gonna stop until he sees to it. Let's go over to 92.3 The Fan. As John Sable was down, and he has a lot of inside information about what the Browns are, sniffing around for at the Combine, what's going on, what's what, the Shedeur Sanders situation, and much more. Let's give it a listen.
There. All right, John. Yeah. You've been dialed into everything going on from Indianapolis. What has your favorite platitude been between Andrew Berry and Todd Monken over these last 2 days?
Well, it seems like on the surface of everything, they're all aligned on what they want to do, right? I mean, it seems like that, at least when it comes to the quarterbacks. I mean, when it comes to Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, they're all saying the right things now here in late February of letting it play out and not putting pressure, any expectations on quarterback competition. When you kind of push them about, hey, are we going to look at a free agent quarterback? They don't shoot everything down. You keep all the options open. No one really anticipates them taking a quarterback early. I know there's some speculation on Ty Simpson, although I don't see that happening. Even though Todd Monken did talk about him today and how he has connections with Ty Simpson's family down south when he was at Alabama, but when Todd Monken coached down in Mississippi, I guess, Southern Miss, he had connections through there, through back channels and everything like that. So I think the biggest theme so far through those first 2 days of the Combine is just, the quarterback competition is what it's going to be. It's going to be a competition. The one question, though, is once things really heat up, once free agency starts next month, and then, of course, in the draft, is Dylan Gabriel going to be on the roster? Because I'm not so sure he will be, but we'll see.
John, what do you how do you take the sort of Todd Monken being non-committal toward Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson? Because I think a certain portion of Browns fans would have really liked to hear him be a little bit more gung-ho on Shedeur specifically.
I think what he's saying is what I expected him to say, Anthony, and it's this, because the sample size is not very large for Shedeur, and we really don't know what we're going to get out of Deshaun Watson. I think when it's all said and done, once we get through everything, I think Shedeur will be your week one starter, barring any injury. But I think you have to, as a new coach, getting to know these players, getting to know the system and your staff, you have to keep an open mind. And you don't want to get a young quarterback who's only had, 8 starts to be complacent by naming him week one, when in all reality, if this was any other team with a veteran quarterback, let's say this was, 10 years ago, Josh McCown, or even just 4 years ago, Jacoby Brissett. I mean, all likelihood, those veterans would already be probably starting over this young kid only because of the sample size. I think but Deshaun's factor is interesting just because of the injuries and because of the struggles. He's keeping an open mind and everything, but when it comes to Shedeur, you don't want him to expect everything right away. And he's not expecting. He wants to be challenged. He wants to be coached. So I think that's what we should all expect. The fan angle, though, it's the fan angle. We are starved for a quarterback. So that's not really all that surprising, but we're also knowing how to be patient after, since 99? I think we can be a little bit more patient.
Well, I said last segment, it's nice and refreshing to feel like there's not this sort of veil of secrecy around it. Like they are truly going to go into training camp with a fair, quote unquote, competition, as fair as you can get in the NFL.
Sure.
But I think people only like that for Shedeur. They don't really want to give Deshaun a fair chance. But I do think they're fair. Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's fair because I think we've seen the song and dance with Deshaun, right? So fans want to see Shedeur just take the reins and see what's going to happen. I think when it's all said and done, I think Shedeur will still be the week one starter. I think he'll probably beat out Deshaun. We don't know what we're going to get out of him with his body. And so I get why fans say that, but you got to look at Todd Monken. This is a guy who is an older coach who's been around for decades in coaching. He mentioned it today. He sees the elite out of Shedeur, and he sees a Pro Bowl-style quarterback in Deshaun, albeit that was 5-6 years ago. He's given that quarterback, both quarterbacks, the benefit of the doubt of trying, earn your stripes, earn your position back. He's not shutting the door on anything yet because I think he's been tried and true. Listen, I covered him when he was with the Buccaneers for 3 years when Jameis Winston was coming up here, and he had this open mindset too with him when they had, Josh McCown down there and then Mike Glennon as well. And so Jameis earned the spot right out. Granted, he was the number one overall pick in that draft class. But there were times when you'd have a veteran in there and Todd would say the same thing he says now that he said back then 10 years ago. So there is a refreshing of continuity, it seems like, but it's also still frustrating because fans want the end-all be-all answer, and we're just not going to get that.